blog for May the 21st, 2013, Tuesday. I had a question come into my mailbox recently in New Hunter Church of Christ's mailbox on the internet regarding forgiveness. They go and write, I know of somebody's family that has really destroyed a person's life because what they do is they keep bringing up a problem that they've done over 35 years ago. And it's a sin that they have done. And they keep going around telling churches and telling camps and ruining this guy's life. And it's a sin that that person is no longer doing anymore, and that they are a changed person, and that their life has totally been changed and ratified and has been changed by it. What their theory is that they think that the person hasn't learned their lesson, or they don't think they have done anything wrong, is what the people say. But it's wrong to be thinking that, because see, what they want you to do is constantly keep being reminded of that sin. They want you to constantly be holding that sin in. And see, that doesn't help the person who's doing that to heal from it, and it doesn't help the person who has changed from it to heal. You know, if they allow Satan to allow that to bother them, which, you know, if the person's changed, they're not going to do that. But the thing is, these people in the family have destroyed this person's life because of something that happened over 35 years ago. And the thing is, it's ridiculous. And it could be any sin that you may have done. It could be stealing a car. You know, it could be anything. It could be cheating on your tax return, and somebody just wants to use it to blackmail you or to feel like they can control you because they know something about you because of that one sin that you did so long ago. See, we live in a world today, the way the world views is that, hey, I got goods on you. You better stay in line, son, because if you don't, you're going to go to jail, because I'm going to hold that up against you. See, Christians a lot of times have that same attitude, whereas they like to hold things on someone, no matter what they've done. It doesn't matter what the sin is. It could be any sin, and that is totally wrong. See, we're told forgiveness in the Bible is where we forgive. We turn the other cheek. That's part of the process. We turn the other cheek and we pray, you know, and we move on, and we forgive and we forget. That's what the real pill and the real medicine to true forgiveness really essentially is. Accountability, where that comes in, is when somebody's having trouble with an issue, or they're still doing that issue, or they're having problems with a certain issue, whatever the issue is, you know, then that's where you go and spread it all around the churches, because that means they haven't learned their lesson, and they haven't really been demonstrating that they've been forgiven. But when a person has moved on and they're a different person and they have been forgiven, then you all need to stop spreading rumors about it. Stop circulating it around, because that's not showing that you are forgiving that person, and therefore you will be judged for doing those kinds of things. So it's so important that you need to stop spreading and circumventing things around about somebody when it's happened so long ago. You know, I'm reminded of an example of a girl that worked at Bank of America, at one of those Bank of America locations. She was a teller. Well, she shoplifted about 35 years ago, just to show you how the world is. You know what happened? Somebody in the bank found out about her history after all that time. She was been there for 20-some years, and they ended up firing her on the spot. Well, you know what? That's how the world is, because they hold things against you. We as Christians aren't supposed to be like the world. We're supposed to really, truly forgive people and practice forgiveness. When we don't practice forgiveness the way Jesus says to do it, then we're no different than this world. And see, a lot of Christians go into the church like that with that same mind and attitude. You know, I know a lot of things that my family has done, and some people in my family have done that are really bad and sinful. But you know what? I know they're forgiven, and I know they're a changed person. And I know, because of their past, I still love them, and I don't bring up their things, and I don't remind people or tell people about what they have done, because that's not practicing true forgiveness. If somebody is still actively engaging in that sin, then yes, you need to tell people about it. whatever it is. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. But if they're not, and if it's something really that has something to do with child or pornography or, or pedophilia, yeah, you need to tell people if they're actually engaging in it. But if they're not doing it anymore, you need to stop talking about it. Whatever it is. That's why I said that. I want to make that clear. That's why I wanted to list those kinds of sins, because those things you don't mess around with. You need to tell people about it if they're actively engaging in it. But if they're a changed person, and they're a different person, because this could be a woman doing this. This could be a man doing this. This could be a preacher doing this. This could be anybody. If they were doing that in their past, you need to tell people about it if they're actually still doing it. But if they're not doing it and they're a changed person, you need to stop talking about it. Because, see, part of the changing and healing process is that the victims and the family also need to forgive the person. And if they haven't forgiven you and they're still talking about it and still bringing it up and still massaging it, then they haven't forgiven you. Even though they say they have, but they're going around telling people about it. And part of the healing process is where we truly forgive a person by truly not talking about it and forgetting it. And not going around and talking to camps and talking to other churches about it and spreading it around. Because that's what the devil wants to do, destroy and tear apart families and divide churches. That's the devil. And see, when you do that kind of behavior, you're no different than the devil. So Jesus says true forgiveness is where we really forgive a person by turning the other cheek and by truly forgetting. Over time, you forget. If it's no longer an issue, it shouldn't be brought out. Because the person doesn't have to be under the shadow of that sin, whatever it is, no matter how great or small it is. Even if it's like the ones I talked about a few minutes ago. You don't need to keep dredging it up because it's not an issue. It should not be reoccurring and it should not be talking about. Because if it is recurring, then you do that. But if it's not, you don't talk about it. Okay? So when we forgive people, a true marks of forgiveness is where we forgive them. We give them, it's like a new chance, a new life, and we forget it over time. Because that's what God really, truly teaches in the Scriptures. Forgiveness is all a part of the healing process, and also forgetting is also part of the ultimate healing process. We don't want to keep holding somebody under the cloud of suspicion or doubt, and then act like and say things like they don't think they ever learned a lesson. Because part of the forgiving process, of the healing process, also is also to forget. Because people have done things wrong in our family, like people have smoked pot when they were younger, and people have done all kinds of things that are wrong. People have done drugs in our family when they were younger, and they're drinking and smoking and having sex with people outside of marriages. There's all kinds of things that people have done in the past in our family. But I'm not going to go into it, but see, that's in the past. It's not where we're supposed to keep rap sheets on people and say, hey, I'm going to bring this up and tell everybody about it, even if it's not going on anymore. But there's people in our family that have done wild things like that, and they claim to be religious, and they go to church of Christ and stuff. But there's people like that in everybody's family. But the whole point and truth of the forgiveness in the matter is we're not supposed to keep holding things on people. We're supposed to forgive. And the part of forgiveness is, in the healing process, I'll say this one more time for slow learners out there, is to forget. We're not supposed to keep people under a cloud of suspicion or make them feel guilty or make them feel reminded of it every day, like they're supposed to, be reminded of it and say that they need to have a sense of humility when they already have a humility. And they already have that humility because that's part of the process. You get humility as a part of forgiveness. And part of that is forgetting. Is forgiving. Forgiving is forgetting. And if you haven't forgot it, then you ain't really have forgiven that person. So all you people that want to hold challies and blackmail people and talk about them behind their back, you better quit doing it, because God's going to judge you because you haven't truly forgiven individuals. But when you do things like that, that's not practicing accountability. That's practicing judging. And you have no right to judge. Only God has that right and mandate, not you. So you need to stop judging. Okay? Still praying for Pastor G about his situation, about the rumors that are being spread around about all that stuff. It's crazy. But even rumors can ruin a person's life and ministry too, if you let it. But you just keep, at the same time as a minister, from one minister to another, Pastor G, you keep doing a good work for God. Don't let those rumors get to you, because I know they're not true and I know they're not credible. So it's like what happened to me at Oak Hill Camp about me not working there. That wasn't true or credible. But anyway, I love you. And this is my blog for Tuesday, May the 21st, 2013. And I will see you later. This is Michael from New Hunter Church of Christ, preaching the truth. Because that's like it says in Matthew. That tells us in Matthew that if I'm going to leave this one thought before I go. If I measure one person with a rod, then you shall be judged with the same rod. So you think about that, folks. So if you're holding somebody and still reminding, still spreading that stuff around, you better stop it. You better quit it. Because God is going to judge you the same way that you keep on manifesting and keep talking about and massaging it with other people. And the family and other church families and ruining people's lives. You've got to stop doing it because you're responsible for their lives being ruined. If you go around spreading dirt on somebody when they're not even doing things anymore like that, you need to, or any kind of sin that they're doing, and you keep talking about it and they're not doing it anymore, and they're a changed person, they learned their lesson. You better quit doing it because God's going to judge you. Because you haven't, by you doing that, has not shown or illustrated that you got a sense of humility, and that you have a true sense of forgiveness. Because when you talk about it, you haven't forgiven them, so you better quit. Stop spreading that stuff around. It's part of the healing process is stop talking about it and forgive. This means to forget. So we all need to learn that and practice that in our lives as Christians, no matter what the person's done. Doesn't matter what that sin is, because all sins in God, if they're not being, if they have not stopped, then that right there, they have not been stopped. That right there shows that you're judging. And when you're judging, that means you're not a true Christian, because a Christian can't judge somebody. And a Christian can't be judgmental because that's carnal. That's a carnal Christian. That's what Jesus said. That's what Paul said. We're not supposed to judge one another. We're supposed to practice true forgiveness. And how we do this is when we really forgive each other. We don't go talk about it, spread rumors around. Like I said, if you know stuff about people, I've always said this, because you're going to know things about people from their past. You're going to know things because, that's part of the healing process. We're all going to know things about people. But we don't go spread it around when it's not an issue. We don't go talking about it because that destroys people's lives. Because it's not meant to be talked about, and it's not something that needs to be talked about or be circumvented around. So if you're a real Christian and you really do forgive people, stop talking about it. Okay, I got to go. I love you.